Hello, everyone. Just waiting on people to join the chat.
Back the mic off a little bit. I should be good right here.
Waiting for a few people to get into the chat room. Got in a little bit late, and I think maybe people, because of that, thought that we weren't going to do it. How does my mic sound? Is everybody able to hear me? Waiting for a few people to get into the chat room. Got in a little bit late, and I think maybe people, because of that, thought that we weren't going to do it.
Click there. Click it. Live chat.
No. It says I need to sign in to chat.
It doesn't matter. You're not trying to chat on the chat box.
Why does it say that? That's weird.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I ask a question, get scolded. Says, hey man, love the show. I was just wondering if you can close that door. If you ever had any time travel stories. Time travel stories. I think yes, I do actually. People who I got a story about some people who they went through Florida and they were at a diner, and I got to go back and reread it, but they were sure that it was there. And then when they went back through there, it was an abandoned building. Literally 2 months later, and it had been abandoned for like obviously years. And so that was a weird, I don't know if you call that time travel, but I do have some other stories that are kind of weird. I have one about a guy who was in prison. This guy I know personally. He was in prison with an inmate that claimed that he slept 12 hours a day, and then when he dreamed in our world, he was living another reality. And he wrote tons and tons of information about it in some sort of journal. But yeah, those are some pretty crazy stories. As far as the show, what we're doing this coming Friday, I wanted to give everybody the heads up. Ken Gerhard, we're going to have Ken Gerhard on the show. This is a show we recorded months ago, and we just have not had a chance to drop it. Me and Ryan just kind of sat in, was kind of getting his feet wet as being a part of our group, and and he doesn't talk a whole lot on there, but he sits in and he joins me and Ken Gerhard. And as far as Ryan goes, Ryan, if you could hit me up and send me some sort of game plan for when we're going to get started doing your work on your show, because I am getting bombarded with questions as to when that's going to happen. People are really wanting to know, like, when that's going to get going, because that's important. A lot of people are really looking forward to that. So move this over so I get a little bit more comfortable here. There we go. Adjust the camera a little bit. Are there any sightings of Bigfoot along 45 in the Huntsville area? Are you talking about in Texas, Huntsville? Yes, absolutely there are. My old co-host Sal seems to think that he had a Bigfoot encounter out there in that area. Hey Josh, do you think that demons and skinwalkers disguise themselves as dogmen so that dogmen get the blame? That's from Paul Kokorotsis. I hope I said your name right. I've thought that before, that, I actually was hanging out with some Utes, and And one of the only times in my life that I ever took the button, and I asked a lot of questions to one of the elders, and they told me that the shape-shifting skinwalker can take on the form of just about any creature on Earth. So if they chose to take on the form of a Sasquatch, then they could be a Sasquatch. So yes, I guess maybe they could become a dog man, but I think a lot of what people see could actually be skinwalkers themselves. I mean, you know, you see these creatures with these various types of creatures that they're in different forms, and I think that could be what we're dealing with. Back to what I was saying about Ken Gerhard, I wanted to throw out that tonight his show, and I told him that I would drop a shout out to his show that's coming on tonight. So if you guys go out there and DVR that, record it, whatever, he's going to be on this show right here. The proof is out there. It's going to be tonight, 9 p.m. Central. Ken Gerhard is going to be on there. And if we're still going, then I would suggest that you DVR it. So shout out to Ken Gerhard. He's going to be on TV Now on the History Channel on a show called The Proof is Out There. And he's going to be on our show on Friday on a show we did about animals, whether they are extinct or not extinct, because as you know, he's a very prominent cryptozoologist. And so that's what's going on with that. Thank you. Somebody said, don't be doing anything with your hair. Captain America 108. It's perfect. Okay, thank you. Eric Ogle. Hey, man. So rakes are definitely fake with all the sightings of them. Do you like it is, I guess he's asking, do you think it is really Wendigos, crawlers, or something like a skinwalker? Okay, now that was something I wanted to touch base on today. As you guys can see also that I'm wearing my Dogman striped shirt. That was a shirt that was made up by Vic Cundiff in honor of the Stripes episode, which was episode, I believe, 136 or 137 of Dogman Encounters. So that's what that is. Yeah, I think that we need to talk about that rake, because I kind of got into it a little bit with somebody on a group, and I believe it was in your group, Ryan, and I wasn't trying to argue with this person, but she basically said that she dismisses accounts of the rake, and I told her I do not, and I told her why I do not. Maybe it was just that we were miscommunicating, which is what Ryan seemed to think, which is probably correct, but I do not discount or discredit or dismiss anyone's encounters. Y'all know that. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. This person seems to think that anytime someone sees one of these things, that it's just absolute baloney. That's the impression that I got from her, from the conversations I was having with her. We call it another name, so then that gives it validity. That's like, okay, all right, so I run into a ghost. Oh, ghosts don't exist. Okay, it was a phantom. Oh, okay, well, in that case, yeah, you saw a phantom. I thought you were saying you saw a pirate ghost. Now that you call it a phantom pirate, no, I believe you. I mean, is that what we're dealing with? Is that what we're doing? We just a rake by any other name just isn't the same. I mean, to me, if it's a rake, if it's some sort of creature that is white, translucent, that can distort itself and crawl and skitter around, then yeah, I'm going to call it whatever the popular name is to call it. I mean, I don't think we have to like box ourselves in and call it the rake. You can call it a crawler. You know, like, I mean, crawler sounds pretty silly too, you know, like, I'm a crawler. You know, what are you doing? It just crawls around. I mean, because they don't just crawl, they do other things too. Somebody asked the question, do you think they kill people? Yeah. I mean, people disappear in the areas where they're spotted. People disappear in the areas where the Sasquatch, Skookum, Gugwe, Genoesqua, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call those. You can call them whatever name you want. I mean, people disappear in dogman country all the time. I mean, you can say, well, it wasn't the dogman, it was this, it was that. I mean, and to me, also calling a dogman a werewolf or calling it a skinwalker, I mean, you're it's potato, dude. I mean, we don't really know, like Stripes here for example. Like, what was he? What was he? We talked about him. We're going to be doing another Hernandez Ranch show in a few weeks, in about 3 weeks, and we'll have another installment of that. And we're going to figure out, hopefully, get some answers as to what maybe could be going on with these people. But then again, we just may end up with more questions than answers. It says here, I hope Nellie's on the road to recovery. Yes, she's doing a little bit better, but she still has a lot of problems with her back. It says Blue, how do you say that?
Blue Storm 4 or IV, I don't know.
Blue Storm 4 or IV? Yeah. It says Nick was annoying until some Mandela effects soon. Okay, well, I'll tell you, I got a couple of Mandela effects for you, Blue Storm. Thank you for the donation, by the way. I appreciate that. And for everybody that donated last week when that started happening, I really wasn't aware of what that was. So I was like not knowing that those were comments that needed to be addressed because they had given me a donation. But my producer / editor over here explained to me that I needed to give those top priority because those people are putting donations into helping support the show. And so I do give them, I give their questions. So answer your question for sure. Mandela effect. Cobra Kai. I'm in the three, I think, different Mandela groups, and Cobra Kai was Kobra, Kai, Kai, and now it is Cobra. And I'm talking like this happened from like last season because a bunch of people were on there, like 700 something people were saying I was looking for Cobra Kai with a K, and it wasn't showing up on Netflix. It was so it's Cobra Kai with a C. I don't know, 100% about that, but that is a weird one. Another one that people talk about all the time is Febreze. And like I said, we're just kind of bouncing around here. Eventually, our Q&As may be a little more focused, but because we've done how many episodes are we up to?
I think 105.
105 episodes, and we haven't done any Q&As. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball on these that I kind of want to get caught up a little bit and maybe address some of the questions that you guys may have concerning some of the past episodes. I'm fixing the camera here. There we go. Now I can sit straight up. Having to hunch over. So yeah, addressing some of the questions from past episodes. Another question I got asked just twice I've already been asked in the past like 2 weeks, the City of Night. I actually have this written down. I have a few things that I wrote down to address some of the questions that I was being asked to talk about. The City of Night, that episode, do you mind looking that up for me, Anthony? And giving the episode number because I didn't actually write it down. So that's not good. Also, a reminder that we will be, the Travel Channel did do a Travel Channel spot for us. They picked up our story for the Church of the Forgotten. Just to let you guys know a little bit about that, I did find out there's an update about it. Apparently it's been demolished. Like there's nothing but rock there. I had a friend go out there and find it and check it out. And I guess they gave up on trying to do something with it. So now it's just rubble. Apparently it was not considered a historical landmark, so they were able to destroy it. So
the City of Night was talked about on the Laura Ketchler's episode. Right?
The Laura Ketchler's episode, is it 29, 39?
38 and 39.
38 and 39. And 39 in particular, I believe, is the episode. So if you're looking to hear more about the City of Night, that's in episode 39 with the Laura Ketchler's interview. City of Night is definitely a really interesting topic. I have talked to multiple people just recently about their dreams and the things that you've seen and heard in their dreams. And the City of Night seems to play a prominent role in some of these people's lives as far as like where they go and they travel into the astral plane or whatever. And it seems to be the City of Night is a very popular destination. I did talk to someone recently who had a theory that the City of Night, which is something I kind of believe too, that people that end up there in their dream state, or if they've been, even if they're deceased, that they could be being drained, like their life force is being used as a battery, which is something we can get into eventually. I'll probably do a whole episode on the City of Night because I have enough stories about it now to encompass an entire episode of this particular place. It's not really somewhere I'd want to end up on a permanent basis. I'll fix my pumpkin pie haircut here. But, wow. Somebody just dropped $100. Voltron76. Love the show and group. I'm playing catch up on all these episodes. I'm on episode 60 now. All you guys are awesome. Hello from Houston. Hello from Houston. Go Astros. Sorry that ESPN was bored for months and had nothing better to do but talk about the Astros cheating when the Yankees cheated, but their records got sealed. So, whatever. Go figure. Another thing I wanted to talk about was my wife's handwriting. Anyway, the three Taylor cities. Somebody was talking about that in a group, and it kind of went around and around. There's a Taylor, Texas, Taylor, Michigan, and Taylor, Mississippi, all of which seem to have high levels of demonic canid activity / dogman activity. I don't know if you want to call it werewolf, dogman. I don't know what you would call it. I know that there's a lot of stories of hellhounds and werewolves in these different towns. Taylor, Michigan, a friend of my brother's stayed there and had stories of haunted houses. And I did talk to some people in a group not too long ago. They were in a ghost group. And they had story. One of them in particular had a story of a haunted house, and I saw that they were talking about Taylor, Michigan. So I asked her, and then she got me in touch with another individual who actually had a dogman encounter in Taylor, Michigan, in the same neighborhood where this supposedly haunted house was. I say supposedly because I don't know the whole story. I didn't delve into an investigation with them as of yet, but I do plan to. And Voltron76, thank you for your generous donation. That was pretty awesome. It says here, Kyung Dae Song, when will we hear that Bigfoot story you left out from last year's Halloween episode? You chose a Dogman story to end of it. I got a couple of them. I got a couple of very unsettling Bigfoot stories. One in particular involves some friends of mine from my church when I was a kid. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, do you remember me telling you a story when we were young about a Bigfoot that harassed me and my friend all night long in a house? It was basically an old farmhouse that was no longer inhabited, that was on his grandfather's property. Yes, I do remember that story. I remember them telling me about that story because I had a close call with a Bigfoot when I was a kid. I didn't see it. I didn't even hear it. I was just there at a party where multiple other children claimed to see a half gorilla man-looking creature run and then jump a barbed wire fence. Now, I did tell that story on, one of the early episodes. I think it was the one about the near misses. It was one about the place Foodland that I used to work at. And if you're interested in that story, I will try to look it up really quickly, and I will tell you which number it is.
I know the title of it. I think it was a paranormal potluck, and part of the title was called "Ghosts of Foodland."
Ghosts of Foodland, yeah.
Like that. I don't know the number though.
I'll look it up real quick. Just go back into the archives, and that was a Bigfoot story that I told that happened with a bunch of kids. Me being one of the kids, and it might have been in the original drop. I think it was. Then when we dropped a bunch of episodes,
probably. Yeah, I think so. So it would have been an early.
Ghosts of Foodland, Bigfoot in the window, and a UFO. Yeah, those were close calls that I had, that stuff that didn't happen to me, but I was around it. So those stories are pretty crazy. Foodland no longer exists. It was a bingo hall for years that we actually did security at, and nothing happened to my guards there in that building, but it was just 6 hours a night, 4 days a week, or something like that. And now the building has been torn down, and it was off of Riverside. But the Bigfoot story is pretty crazy. That happened around my hometown and the outskirts of my hometown. And I feel like I'm kind of lopsided because of the way this camera is. I'm like, another thing I wanted to address while we're... Can you do me a favor? Can you text Nellie and ask her what that means? Because she wrote that down, that somebody, a listener, had asked her about that. Another thing I wanted to address was people trying to, when you're leaving negative comments on our show, that's going to happen. That's fine. I know people don't always like everything we talk about and what we do, and they don't always like me. We got some complaints about, different things, whatever. Stop time stamping things on our comments, because it's going to be deleted 100%. I'm going to take it off. In fact, I don't even delete it. My team does. For one thing, it's rude, and I'm not a robot. Okay, I'm not a robot that's just going to sit out there and spit out stories and use a robot voice and just assembly line story after story and then goodbye. Beam, 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 this story happened, and then the next story, that's how I feel. I'm a human being who needs a setup. I need to be able to talk about these things, and I need to be able to go into these stories, and I feel stiff and not able to, I'm not juiced up to do these, just assembly line story after story after story and then goodbye. That's not how the show works. It's not how I do things. The show is set up purposely to create an atmosphere that you're kind of hanging out with us and you're just hearing us talk about real life stuff, real truth stuff, people's encounters and their stories, and I'm retelling them. And I'm doing it from a perspective, like we're all just hanging out in the living room or the den or the garage, and we're just talking. And if you don't like that format, then don't tune in. I mean, it's very simple. I'm not trying to be rude or ugly to anyone. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, but I don't like being pressured like that. And when you timestamp things like a little jerk, I'm going to get rid of your comment, or my team will. And I wasn't even really noticing. It was something that my team was noticing, and they were just really getting aggravated with it. One of the things, too, that we seem to get into with people is, if you want someone to just get to the straight up facts and just tell the story and just be very, like this is the story, very matter of fact, then it's going to sound something like this, okay? Many people believe that nuts are all created equal, but they're not. The cashew is actually not a nut at all. It is a fruit that has a seed. The fruit can be used as a drink, a bitter, sweet drink that is oftentimes found in many products in India. And the seed is actually what we think of as the cashew nut. It can be mildly allergic to some people, and when the juice from the fruit gets into the seed, it can actually... Do you see how boring that is? Is that what you want me to do? Do you want me to talk about cashews and how we extract them? That's actually a seed, and then, is that the boring kind of... Is that the approach you want me to do? Because if it is, let me know so I can go on and do something else with my life, because obviously there are people in this world, okay, who want me to talk like that and want me to do that and just be very matter of fact, don't have any emotion. They said they don't want me to cut up or joke or laugh, which I think is important, because a lot of this material, maybe you're stone cold killer, but a lot of our listeners are female who that are afraid. They get afraid of some of this material. Some of this material, they want to listen to it, they want to hear it, but they don't want to be scared to death. Okay, so we joke and we try to bring some levity to the situation. I mean, so we don't have people not being able to sleep. I mean, so I understand that you guys just want to hear story after story with no, pause in between and no laugh or nothing. Let's just be real robotic about, whatever. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. That's not who we are as a team. That's not what we do as a team. So if that's what you're looking for, you might want to find another channel or another whatever, and just stop going to my comments on my comments section and just constantly, attacking us in the comments. Another thing too, we consistently get the same numbers of dislikes on our videos, which we assume is possibly the same people, because why would you always get the same numbers? And that started about 3 or 4 months ago, that all of our videos, literally like in one day, ended up with like 21 to 27, I think it was, dislikes. So there was like a handful of people that went and started disliking all of our videos across the board. So our dislikes in one day, we saw this happen. Went from like being in the teens to being in the 20s. And so we kind of suspect that something that there's a group of people out there that don't like us who are coordinating that, they're doing that, and they will dislike the video before it even comes out. They will dislike our videos the minute it comes out. So you're not even listening to the content, dude. You're just going out and whatever. And I got a suspicion of who it may or may not be. Another thing I wanted to point out too, I will make a Facebook post about this, and I'm not talking about a post, but a Facebook live video that I'm going to do either tonight or tomorrow, maybe tonight when this is done. And I'm going to let people know some things that are going on in the Facebook world as far as the groups and the ones that I'm involved with and the ones that I'm no longer involved with and why. And but that's not something I'm going to talk about right now on the YouTube, because a lot of these people that you're here for the YouTube, you don't even participate in the Facebook. So but if that's something you want to hear, then I'm probably going to make that announcement either today or tomorrow. January is going to be a busy month for me, but we are going to make sure that we pump these shows out. Like I said, next week with Ken Gerhard, and that was one that Ryan Tremblay sat in on. And then then we still will be doing the Q&A. This is going to be an every Tuesday thing, folks. Every Tuesday around 7:30. Hopefully we'll get it done by 7:30 next week. This week we had a little bit of a challenge. What was going on, and I'll tell you what it is that Anthony is very incompetent. It's just a very incompetent guy. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Can you get to the point already?
I beat him. I beat him regularly. I try to feed him.
And he takes my food. That's why he's fat and I'm skinny.
I take his food.
Fat lord.
One bowl of rice a day. And he sleeps on what was the commercials where he sleeps on a mat, like a mat of reeds. It's not working. They're not getting much productivity out of this guy. So anyway, the point is, it's hard to get good help these days, folks, especially when it's free. Jeez. But anyways, this guy was not. Now, what happened was we had some technical difficulties. We were trying to get it to work on the laptop instead of trying to do it on the phone. We did last time. We were like, hey, we'll just use the cell phone, whatever. But I think it's much more professional, and we're on the laptop, and I have a lot more features that I can look at. And the only problem is when I look straight at the laptop, it looks like I'm looking off to the side. But when I look off to the side, I'm looking straight ahead. That's trippy, man. It's wild. But anyways, it says here, trolling dislike. Oh, I'm not going to read that one. Bad words. It says, Wolf needs not worry. Nobody will step to him. Just do your thing, guys. Now, I don't want people stepping to me or on me or around me. I appreciate that, though. Dick Richards, what's up? What's up, buddy? What are you up to? Let me scroll down through some of these comments I may have missed here. They hate us because they ain't us. Ain't that the truth? It says West Virginia stories. Definitely got some of those. Joey Hayes, what's going on, Joey? I know you live in Ireland. Hello to you, Ireland. Josh, I love it when you guys free form and see where it takes us. We kind of did that last week with the show, and we got a lot of complaints. I can say this, though. I know this much, that Nick was not on his best game, and he admitted that. And Nick's not a bad guy. I actually like the guy a lot, and I work next door to him, and he told me that he felt like he had kind of co-opted the show or whatever, but we brought him on and let him, talk, and he was just excited. He has a lot to say, a lot to talk about. He writes books. Enrique Salinas, thank you. Love the show, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, Enrique. Thank you for your donation. We love you guys. Wolf, got any stories with multiple witnesses present? Yes, I actually just did the show last Friday. There were 4 people that were involved, 2 of which I couldn't get on the show. One is I don't know how to get a hold of him, and the other one is not around. He's somewhere so that he can't be reached. But yeah, I have lots of stories with multiple witnesses.
Voltron 76 just keeps coming at it. Look at that.
What do you mean?
Look.
Wow. Okay. Do your thing, Josh and crew. We are here to support you guys. No worries, bro. Thank you so much. Once again, Voltron, that's overly generous. I appreciate that. Just sent another donation. Do you have any questions? Anyways, with the Wolf, got any stories with multiple witnesses present? Be a little more specific, I guess, if you could give me some examples of what you're talking about. And Voltron 76, thank you once again. We really appreciate that. We hope the show continue to go. What's up, Wolf? Steve from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Bridgeport, Connecticut. I actually got a weird story when I said something about the Mothman Connecticut thing. Somebody sent me a story from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it's weird that that's a weird thing. That is so weird. I actually got a story of a ball lightning, of all things. I had a friend who had a ball lightning incident. So now I have 2 ball lightning stories, and one of them is fairly long and the other one's not. But I was looking for any other information. Maybe I could throw it into some potluck. But it is a creepy phenomenon. And this thing was apparently like a ball lightning that attacked some people in a house in Bridgeport, Connecticut. My nephew lived up in Bridgeport until last February, and he said it's a very weird and creepy place. He also lived in New Orleans. Have you studied transhumanism and genetic engineering? Yes and no. I have looked into it, but it hasn't been something that I have spent a lot of time delving into. I don't really agree with it, and I will get back with you on that. I did do a little more research into the Lisa. Was it Elisa Lam? I forgot the name of the woman. I did the. She was the one that was killed in the hotel. Elisa Lam, I believe.
Elisa Lam.
Elisa Lam.
Yeah.
I did a little more research into it. All I knew was that she had died weird, was put in a cistern or something like that in a hotel. When you do when you do some research on that, I have talked to someone not too long ago who did actually go to school in El Paso with Richard Ramirez. And I met this person through another friend of mine because I have a lot of friends from El Paso. My friend John Diaz in particular, he's got a big security camera company here. He does really good work. Dick Richards, thank you for your donation. Appreciate that. Thanks for all the great stories. I appreciate it, Dick. But Diaz went to school in Coronado. This person, they actually went to school, not in Coronado, but they went to high school with Ramirez. And he was a very creepy guy even when he was young. Of course, he was a serial killer, a very prolific serial killer, and did a lot of bad things. Ended up in California, the Night Stalker, and so he did stay as a resident in that hotel, and many people believe that he still haunts that hotel. And the story is that she was possibly killed by the spirit of Ramirez. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend to know what happened. But if you watch the video footage, which I had watched it once before when I was asked that question, and I didn't really have enough to go on to give a full opinion on it. But it is startling to see she's running from someone, and it never shows anybody. It's just like she's running, and then the next thing you know, she's dead, and she's been stuffed into like a cistern. There's nobody else that appears on camera. I mean, I've argued before with people. They say ghosts can't hurt you. Bull. Okay, baloney. I've been slapped on my back by one. Don't tell me they can't hurt you. Now, there again, potato, potato. Are we talking about ghosts or demons? You know, what are you referring to? Because they're all spirits. I had some people arguing in a group the other day. I thought it was so ridiculous. They were like, spirits aren't ghosts, or ghosts are different than spirits. And I'm like, that's like saying a car is different than a vehicle. It's the same thing. It's just ghosts are a type of spirit, just as demons and angels are types of spirits. We are all spirits. I think that this community, whether it be the ghost community, the alien abduction community, the cryptid community, if we all understood that we are all part of a greater whole and we would stop compartmentalizing everything, then you would realize that there's a lot more going on, that it's all together. It's all part of a greater whole, and it has a lot to do with the spirit world. I do tend to disagree with a lot of the dogman and Bigfoot people who are 100% believing that they're flesh and blood, because I think with Bigfoot, I think it's both. And with Dogman, I think it's predominantly spirit, but that they can manifest as physical. And it depends if you're looking at it from an interdimensional standpoint. Like, can they move in and out of dimensions? Did they come from another place? Maybe. I don't know. A couple of the things we touched on before with the praying mantis entities. Like I said, I'm going to do a show about that. And there are alien, that would seem to be ultra-terrestrial, extraterrestrial, interdimensional dogmen. I don't know what you would call them, astronauts. I don't. It's mind-boggling, and so I do believe that there is a set of these creatures that are here permanently, that are physical. But I think a lot of what we get are spiritual, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I've talked to lots of different people, and one of the things that Vic Cundiff once told me was that a lot of the people that he talks to, and not everybody, not every encounter, but they have had, Ouija board, playing with Ouija boards, and then something happens, and then they have these dogman encounters. He didn't say that was 100% that it's always that, but it is a very real possibility that this is what could be going on. I mean, like, you could be having, you're messing with something and you open something up and something comes through that can manifest itself in a very physical nature, in a very physical way. So, that's something to think about, Any one-time stories, entity, never heard about. I'm not understanding that. I know that's David Pratt, and he's a very big supporter of the show. Repeat that question, David, because I wasn't really understanding that. There's a lot of bad stuff that happened at the Cecil. I'm supposing you're talking about a hotel. Lived in Vancouver for years. Yeah, that's true. Ainsley Mullane, agree with on those being both and a variety. Yes. Sarah Martinez, everything has a spirit component. Yep. Wolf, ignore the haters. Your show is unique and very good. Blue Yeens forever. There was a ghost on Vic's, a guest on Vic's show. She said that she saw the devil when she was younger. She'd rather see the dog man than the devil again. Would you love to hear her stories? Absolutely. Send her my way, and we can discuss both. Yes, I agree with that. Actually, it says, well, they're following people home for miles and miles has to be spiritually paranormal. Yeah, because some of these people move like out of state, and then these things appear. Like I got a story from someone who moved from Wisconsin to Washington. Or no, it wasn't Washington. I'm sorry, Idaho. They moved from Wisconsin to Idaho, and the same creatures appeared. Another investigation we did that we lost touch with the witness was a girl named Seven. Seven, if you're out there, I'd like for you to get back in touch with us. She was from Arizona, and she had lived in 2 different states and in 2 different countries, actually. And the same dogman creature entity, whatever, kept showing up time and again. So when you look at it, like, from that perspective, like, I mean, obviously something that keeps showing back up, you know, like, I mean, imagine a human being and you did, you know, let's say it was the time before Facebook or any of this other social media stuff, and you moved clear across the country and that person just showed up. The difference is that the dog man is not just a person, not just a stalker, but it is a creature that looks like a werewolf. So you have a werewolf stalker. So there would have to be some sort of intelligent component to that would allow it to do what a human would do, which is to find you, to stalk you. What if, let me throw this out there. What if a person is a werewolf? What if they actually exist? Let's just say, for argument's sake, don't go back and say, oh, Wolf said werewolves exist. What I'm telling you is, what if there is a werewolf? What if there's a person that you meet in your life and they become smitten with you or obsessed with you? Say you're an attractive woman or a man, and this guy decides that he is in love. He likes you. He thinks you're a pretty gal, and he decides that he's going to start messing with you. And you try to get away from him. And next thing you know, you start seeing this werewolf type creature, and then you move halfway across the country or clear across the country, and this werewolf type creature reappears. Would you not be suspicious of this person? Maybe that this person either sent this entity towards you or after you, or he is the entity that's after you or towards you. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that could be the case? I mean, I'm not saying that I believe 100% in werewolves or dogman one way or the other. Like that all I know is what I saw, and I can field hundreds of reports of what people claim they saw. But you're talking about dogman, werewolf, skinwalker. There again, potato. You can call it whatever you want. It's like saying, some people call it, you know, a hag. You know, some people call it like the Baba Yaga. You can call it whatever you want. It is what it is. You can call it a rake, a crawler, a flesh gate, which I don't even know what a flesh gate is. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Or a wendigo. This person that I kind of argued with the other day, they said they didn't even believe in the wendigo. They thought that the wendigo was just myth stories, and they poo-pooed the idea of wendigo or the rake, and basically said they dismissed those stories. I want you to know that was on Whisper to a Scream group. That is not necessarily the opinions of the people that run that group, which is me, Ryan, and Nelly. That is one person's opinion on there. And somebody had messaged me shortly after that asking the question about that, and if we supported that. And I said, no, we do not. I can't 100% speak for Ryan, but I'm pretty sure that Ryan's not going to be closed-minded and say that anybody who believes in that is that way, because we don't. I'm pretty sure Ryan agrees with that. Thank you for the donation. Fight the Dream. Love the show Wolf and Mushu. Listen to other shows to feed my dogman addiction, but listen to yours for the unparalleled content and great personalities. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. It says here, something else? No. AD Gable film, real or hoax? Not sure I believe the confession that it was fake. Seemed like they tried to make it look like a fake. Having talked to Linda Godfrey about this, and we talked about it off camera, and she was on our show for 2 episodes. I don't remember if we talked about the Gable film or not, but I have talked to her off camera about it. I know that. And she 100% that it was fake. She claims to have seen the props. I would take her at her word. I mean, if she says that it's not real, and she says that she saw the props and that it's 100% fake. When you look at the video footage, it's hard to say because it honestly looks like it could be something like the guy's movement, the way he moves side to side, and people say, well, a person can't move like that. Yeah, they can. People can contort themselves and do all kinds of weird things and move all kinds of weird ways. Did Nelly ever tell you what that was?
Yeah, but here, I'll let you read the text.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to decipher. There was one guy who was asking if
oh, yes. I know exactly what she's talking about. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. So it says here, Doc Snake, fight the dream. I feel the same. I listen to a lot of paranormal podcasts and drop off because none as good as Paranormal Round Table. Thank you, guys. None are as good as Paranormal Round Table.
There was one guy who I think he asked a couple of times, and then he was like, I'll just give up and ask him next stream, but I don't want to leave him out. He was asking if you have anything, any weird stories from North Carolina, where he's from.
North Carolina, yes, actually I do. Okay, that's good timing because I just got, okay, so I have a story of a shark, shape-shifting shark story, which is weird. I have one from Hawaii now, and I'm going to do a show about that eventually, and I have one from North Carolina that was on the beach, that someone claimed that they were attacked by a shark with arms. That sounds weird, I know, but if you're me or Anthony or any of us and you get these weird stories, you will know that don't just dismiss that. In the past, I would put it into a one-off file, something that me and Ken actually talked about. You get like these one-offs, it's what him and Lyle and the other crypto guys call them. Same goes for me. The ghost guys, same thing. They get these one-offs. That to me was a one-off at one time. Now I have like 2 or 3 stories about it. It's not a one-off anymore. So that's one. We'll have another good one from North Carolina. This one happened to someone in the south part of North Carolina, and they claim to have seen a shape-shifting black cat. In fact, that's another thing I needed to write down. If I have my notebook around here. It might be right here. I think it's this one. Got a million pins here. Let me write that down because that is going to go into our next one with the black cats. And that happened in North Carolina. Yes. Just going to remind myself of that because it's in a private message. I got to look it up, and it's the person that gave it to me. Okay, so the shark thing that I was going to talk about. I had a friend who used to be a underwater welder, and he quit doing it, and he became a strongman competitor. We called him Bane. That was his nickname. His name was Bane, and he's a friend of ours. Me, Scorpion D, Squid, everybody from the old days. Bane worked on offshore oil rigs. He would go out there and he would do welding. And just he did a lot of underwater welding on different ships and different oil rigs. It's a very dangerous job, but it paid a lot of money. And when you're doing underwater welding on deep sea rigs, there is a lot of underwater sea life, and entire ecosystems live underneath those oil rigs. In particular, makos and what they call great makos, or these really large mako sharks. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Great makos. They're like a larger version of, or super mako. I forgot what they're called, but they're a larger version of a mako. One of the freaky things that happened to him, he had a mako shark rub up against him while he was underwater welding, and he turned and he looked and he saw it move off to his left, and then when he turned around, he saw the largest, he said he thought it was a great white, but he said it had to have been about 16 feet. And he said it was actually a mako, and they're really fast and they're very unpredictable. And it was right behind him, and when it opened its mouth and snapped at him, and he moved, and it just he barely was able to get the torch, and to get it off of him. And then after that, he kind of decided to quit being he quit, and he decided to take another path, and he gained about 60 pounds of muscle and started doing strength, and then he became a strength and conditioning coach, and he started doing it for a long time. But the point to that story is that when you are dealing with these creatures in these portals, I guess how do I say this? What am I trying to say here? You don't know what you're going to get when you jump into that ocean. He knew the risk. He knew that there were makos there, but the one that touched him and got his attention isn't even the one that tried to attack him. And so when you're dealing with something I was talking to my wife about, and I was chatting with a listener, when you're dealing with these creatures, you're playing with portals or Ouija boards or whatever that open these things up, you don't know what you're going to get. When you jump into that water of the abyss, as they say, when you stare into the abyss stares back. There's no telling. I was doing an investigation out in an area outside of my hometown where they were having a lot of poltergeist type activity. The kid was seeing the shadow man, but then he was also seeing a werewolf type entity that was coming to the window. I've talked about this before. It was on one of the episodes of Vic's show. But the thing is, that's what happens quite a bit. Like these hauntings go hand in hand with these dogman sightings, oftentimes on the same property, and you don't know what you're going to get. So it's a lot like my friend that was the underwater welder. You jump in there, and the creature the one thing that you see, or that you initially encounter, may not even be the worst that there is. There may be something bigger and uglier and worse and meaner. And you just have no way of knowing. There's no way to really ascertain what you're dealing with. And so I strongly suggest people to stay away from using these instruments to try to provoke spiritual encounters, or to provoke these, if you want to call them cryptids, demonic cryptids, I guess, the only way you could call them, because you don't know what you're going to get. And I compare it to deep sea fishing or to jumping in the ocean. And when you're dealing with these things, what comes through those portals might be a Bigfoot. It might be a dogman. It might be a demon. You don't know. We really don't know. We don't know what we're dealing with most of the time, and it could be something that's just really, really evil. And, you might see one thing and then be attacked by another. There was a guy that was walking through the woods. This happened in Yellowstone Park, and he encountered what he thought was a very scrawny, small dogman type entity, and it was looking at him behind a tree. And as he was trying to walk past it, because on the trail that he was on, he thought that it was like a coyote that was standing up on its hind legs. He heard like twigs snapping, branches breaking, moving. He looks to his right and he sees this giant hulking wolf type entity standing on its hind legs. And then he realizes that the small little coyote thing that he was initially startled by wasn't even the real problem. The real problem was the thing that was to his right. He managed to slowly back away, and these creatures, they both got down on all fours and they went in different directions, which to me just means that they're trying to flank you. And when he got out his cell phone and started trying to snap photos, and then started calling, making calls, he wasn't deep into the forest either. This was like not that far in. I think that's what made them leave, because these creatures exhibited an intelligence that goes beyond animal. They're not animals, and I do believe that they have a spiritual nature they can manifest in our world, something that Linda Godfrey's talked about, and she believed that they can manifest themselves in our world, and the longer they're in our world, the more that they need to have food and water and sustenance. So, yeah, you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what you're going to get. And the fact that when you mess with Ouija boards, you can conjure these things up tells me that they're not just flesh and blood creatures that are just running around out in the woods. My wife made a good point the other day when we were talking. We were actually working out, and we were talking about this subject, and she said that she thinks some of these creatures could be, they could going where I'm coming from with that. Let's get to some questions here. Any stories on dinosaurs? Enrique Salinas. Yes, actually, yes. Before I get into that, though, I wanted to say something. Jack Solomon's a friend of mine from the UK. He's got a show. Jack, if you're listening, hey, what's up? He posed the question the other day about how I managed to get so many stories. First of all, I've been collecting them for 30 years. So that's but you also, one thing I told Jack was you have to be tenacious with this. You have to be almost aggressive, and you have to really pursue it, and you have to, it consumes a lot of my free time. Fielding stories, and I know looking you people out there are hundreds of you who've given me your stories just since I've started the show, and I really appreciate it. And if you've given me a story and I haven't gotten to it or covered it yet, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can to try to get out as many of the good stories. And no story is not good. I'm just saying of the show-worthy stories, try to get as many as I possibly can. But when you have a 30-year library, and it's pretty vast, and so yeah, and so I get stories all the time. Dinosaur stories in particular, they kind of bleed into like the whole reptile thing, because like I told a story about a giant lizard that was near Ruidoso, out in New Mexico, and so that one was weird. And then there was another one in Flagstaff. Giant lizards, are those dinosaurs? I mean, I don't know. But we do have a weird phenomena down in the Rio Grande Valley, down in the Texas Valley here, which is about 5 to 6 hours away from here, depending on which part of the valley you go to. And we do have this weird phenomena where people see pterodactyls, and they see this. It's going to sound goofy, but a small T-Rex. On the show on Friday, we get into some questions with Ken Gerhard, and he's going to answer some questions as best he can about extinct or not extinct, because that's what the show's going to be about. So I'm kind of excited about that. I've been waiting to drop this episode for a while. We've just had a lot going on, and now with Ken having his show that he's on this tonight, I was hoping that that would be, him coming on there would be a little boost for us on Friday, and vice versa. We also, on that note, we're going to change the time of the show. We're going to start dropping it. What time?
Probably, you said 7?
7? Is that what we agreed on?
Yeah.
So we're going to start dropping the show at 7, because people like to be involved in the chat, and so that was a big thing on the chat. You can also apparently, I wasn't even really aware how this worked, but Anthony kind of explained it to me. On the chat, on the show, you can actually donate money too on the chat room. It's called Super Chat, right?
Yeah, that's what everyone who's donated on this live stream right now, it's the same thing. It's a super chat. So whether it's a live stream or it's just a live chat on the show that we're dropping, it's the same process. It's a super chat. Okay,
so you can actually donate and get a highlighted comment, right?
Yep.
On the chat, the chat room, the super chat that comes up for the show. That's not a live show on Friday. We don't drop live shows on Friday typically. It's been only a few times we've done live shows. Halloween, I think, the anniversary show and all that.
Yeah, whenever we drop our shows, they're called premieres, which means that they're pre-recorded shows, but they premiere, and there's a live chat as a first drop. So that's why there's a live chat for that. But no, it's not a live stream show.
Yeah, they're not a live stream show, but the chat is up and running for that, so you can actually donate on that too. Another thing, I'm just going to address. This guy was heckling me. Oh, so it's all about money now. No, dude, because I'm still like 1,000% down on how much money I've put into the show as opposed to what we've made for the show. But we needed to try to generate some kind of revenue for the show so we can at least help pay for it, because otherwise it just becomes a money pit. And that was the thing I was going to tell Anthony Wallace, who happened to ask that question last week during the live stream. He said, "What do I give him ideas or pointers about doing a show?" And what I can tell you about it is it's a lot of freaking work. It's very hard, and you have to have material going in. You know, and I collected material for years, and especially leading up to doing this, I collected a lot of material, especially from being on Dogman Encounters and a few other shows. I had a lot of research I had done, and so I was getting stories all the time, but I was putting those stories onto Dogman Encounters with Vic Cundiff. So whenever I would get stories about Dogman, I would just, you know, the good ones that I was really getting a lot of good ones, and I would just save them up and put them on his show. But now I have my own show, and people have been asking me, when am I going back on Dogman Encounters? I don't know. As far as Vic had told me, I have an open invitation to go on anytime I want, but unless, I guess, you know, he don't want me to, because it's his show. but I do have a lot of Dogman stories, and I don't know what I'm going to do. If we're going to do this, we were thinking about doing like this Dogman series. I do want to do some work with some other people. And I do also want to get Vic back on the show, maybe, and do an interview with him, because a lot has happened since I was on the 300th episode. I did kind of at the time think that the 300th episode would be my farewell to Dogman Encounters, because I have my own venture and I'm doing all this. But that doesn't mean that I won't go back. Now, my Hernandez Ranch stuff is going to be for PRT. But you know, I do have some pretty good shows locked and loaded in the chamber, ready to go, that I can go on to Dogman Encounters with. There's people that ask me about that. Doing a podcast is a lot of work. Vic told me that going into this. You know, a few other guys that helped me out in the beginning, and they told me, hey, it's a lot of work. It's hard, you know, and it's not a lot of, you know, you don't. At times you feel like you don't really get much out of it. It's like you're tired. You put a lot of work into it, you and your team, that you have to know a lot about technical stuff, which I don't. You know, I know some, but my nephew has to help me do a lot of it. The editing, him and my brother and my nephews, they're always working on doing stuff, but they believe in what we're doing. They believe in the product. You know, they talk to my listeners. All of them do. Quite a bit. If you can't get through to me, I mean, you can hit up my guys. I mean, and my wife. My wife is fielding reports. I think everybody is fielding reports at this point, aren't they? Yeah. Trying to get, because we hundreds of stories. It's unreal. So I when people say, well, I'm having trouble getting stories, I don't know how that's even possible, because I'm so backed up, man. I mean, I could be talking until 2050 and I wouldn't be able to get them all out. There's no shortage of shows. It's just time to get the shows done. Like tonight, I wanted to be able to record with Tony. Well, Tony Mushu was working, and because I had guys that are needing to be off, because there was a guy that needed to be off to be with his family. Another guy got sick, and I had another guy that had been working for days, and he needed time off, and he was just tired. He needed to recharge his battery. So I understand that. So the quickest we can get in here and record is probably Thursday. So we'll probably record on Thursday, and then that show will probably drop in 3 or 4 weeks. But that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. When you look at like how many shows we got queued, ready to go, it's a lot. I mean, we've already recorded quite a bit. And the reason that this show with Ken Gerhardt isn't dropping, we did it back in July.
I think so.
I mean, that was a long time ago. I mean, we've actually referenced it on the show a couple times. I'm going like, geez, this is, you know. It says here, David Edwards, Wolf, what's going on, brother? Love you, work, man. When you get a chance, maybe check out a guy named Dustin Dude Hope on Facebook. He has trail cam footage of a possible dog man chasing a deer down. Wow. What is this? Susan Alexander Carvas. Enjoyed Nick last week. Thanks. Please bring him back. What are the names of his books so we can buy them, or what name does he write under? Love you guys. The Prometheus Protocol. Is that what one of his books is?
It's called the Morpheus Protocol.
Morpheus Protocol.
Yeah,
this is what his book, one of his books looks like. Let me see if I can turn it toward the camera. Can't see it? There you go. Anyways, that is one of his books. I'm squeezing this thing because I have a lot of tension in my body and I have to do this so I don't get angry and do that to a person's head. There's two kinds of people in this world. Weasels and weasel slappers. And I'm a weasel slapper. Hope you're not a weasel, because I'll have to slap you. I'm just funning, folks. But if I do see a weasel, I'm like, bam! I slap the heck out of it, dude. I just can't help it. It's just how I roll. My wife tells me all the time to be easier on weasels, but just can't do it. Anyways, his book is Prometheus Protocol.
No, Morpheus Protocol.
Morpheus Protocol. Excuse me, I'm trying to read. Okay,
Jeez.
These millennials. Morpheus Protocol, and I am going to tell you right now, he's a good guy, and give him a chance. He has a lot of good material. He was just excited to be on the show, and he talked a lot, and, you know. It says here, Tex-Mex 76, correct, sir. Demon Seed, I don't know what that is. Let's see here. I still think that the guy's uncles on Dogman Encounters, my uncles killed the dogman. I think it's totally legit and would be the best way to kill them, if not the only. Okay. I think going out and trying to kill these things is ridiculous. For many reasons. I'm not even going to get into why. Do you think about going on cryptid hunts? I did actually go out to the ranch once or twice. Wasn't something I really was comfortable doing at one time, but I eventually had to get over, you know, my trepidation and go and bite the bullet and deal with my fear. I still don't want to go into a forest full of giant spiders, but I am not as afraid of Dogman as I once was, because I feel like I know a lot more about the true state of this creature. If I thought that it was just a creature that ran around out in the woods like that was just like a lion or a tiger, I would have a lot more fear of it, but I don't believe that that's what it is. So I'm not really afraid of it anymore. I think that it's something different. I'm not afraid of spirits. Oh, and us moving the times, we will no longer be, when you guys want to listen to the show, our show will be on an hour before Vic's show. So you can engage and join in on the super chat of the show. And then when that's over, then you can go over to Dogman Encounters, because apparently we share an audience. Me and Ryan still have not gotten together exactly about when we're planning on doing our joint venture. I need to talk to him about that. So that's something that I want to do. So
Oh, Ryan.
another donation. El Azul Strafe, $2.
I'm sorry, the person.
So I'm trying to get a hold of Ryan right now, guys. I'm going to text him and let him know to call me so that we can pin him down. Because I am looking forward to, the guy does a lot of cryptid research, and I'm looking forward to doing a show with him and being his co-host. Hey Josh, Nephilim episode would be awesome. Talk about their origins, connections with the cryptids, to pretty much prove is what they are. I have a friend of mine that's her specialty. Like, that's what she does, is just studies all that. And I'm trying to get together with her to do a show. time is what it is. It's hard to get things pinned down. My wife is also not an expert, because nobody's an expert, but she knows a lot more about that stuff than me too. And so I'd like to get a show done with her and my friend Mimi, who are both really big into that. You see any other good... King GC, really enjoying this Q&A. If you decide to go with a Dogman series, I have plenty more since last time we talked, and also from the ranch workers. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the donation too, by the way. You were one of the many people that I've talked to and gotten stories from the Dogman thing or whatever. Give me some questions there.
Let's see.
Just 1 second, folks.
It says, hey Wolf, or Stephen Gilson asks, hey Wolf, from your personal experience and research, do you think Dogman and other cryptic and other legends of monsters have some type of connection to the Book of Enoch?
Very possible. I don't, to say absolutely yes, then that puts me in a certain category, but I do strongly feel like there could be a connection there. And I believe that there is a lot of supporting, there's a lot of evidence that kind of supports that. Voltron 76, shout out to Alice, Texas, bro. Oh yes, I love Alice, Texas. I have peeps and family there. If you don't mind, please, sir. Yes, Alice, Texas, the gateway to the Rio Grande Valley we were just talking about. Also, Alice, Texas is known for flying cryptids. It's another little. I've gotten stories out of there. Chief, one of my friends, has done stories in South Texas, and that's one of the places that we get a lot of weird reports out of. Trying to answer this question here. Mandela effect episode coming. I don't know. I was just thinking about maybe just doing a couple Mandela effects every time we do the live chat, because it's just such a vast. You could do a 6-hour show on the Mandela effect. From everything to Ed McMahon to, heck, even I was like watching or reading something the other day where they were talking to 2 NFL football players and they totally remember the same game differently. And it just seems like there's a lot of that going on. It says, Josh, I have a giant lizard story from the jungle we didn't cover on the show. That's Justin Decker. Well, Justin, hit me up. Send it to me. We ran out of time when we were talking the last time anyway. We just went so long. Says, is it possible to kill a dog man? What kind of dog man are we talking about?
This guy Stimulate left a comment that's hilarious, but probably shouldn't be read out loud.
Let me see it.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not going to do a story on that. We could do one. I was going to say something really smart.
It's clever, though.
I was going to say something really smarty in Spanish, but that's probably not a good idea. Yeah.
Timothy Collins Guitars asking where you can get that shirt.
This shirt right here, you can get it on. It's the Dogman Encounters.
Let's move this up a little bit.
You see the Dogman Encounters radio, and then you can wear it like this, and it'll become like a Schemmel shirt, and it'll show your belly button, and you look kind of like a really hot Bedouin chick from the deserts. And then it also covers your face, so you don't spread corona. I don't know where I got that from. That's just weird. It says here, what the heck is the Mandela effect? Okay, the Mandela effect is Nelson Mandela died, and I remember him dying 3 times. So it's called the Mandela effect because everybody disagrees on when he actually died. I remember the Queen of England dying. I was sitting in a restaurant called La Posada in South Austin, and I was with 4 or 5 other people, and then all of a sudden she's still alive. I remember Leonard Nimoy dying and then dying again from In Search Of. And, of course, Star Trek. But, yeah, that's called the Mandela effect because people have memories of these things happening, and then these people aren't dead. They never died. Patrick Swayze, a lot of people claim that he died twice, you know. What are we doing on time here?
Let me see. I'm not sure.
Hey, Josh, what do you think about Dogman working with the military? I need to get Jody Cook on the show and let him go over some of his stories and encounters and what he thinks. It says right here 20, but that's not correct.
No.
I don't know exactly when we started. We started at 8?
Yeah, we started like right at 8, actually.
Okay, so it's been an hour and 15 minutes, yeah. We're still going.
Actually, the chat now is as big as it's been this whole time, so.
That's good. Queen is a reptilian. It says here, love your show, Josh. Thanks for the bi-weekly shows. Yes, you're welcome, because that's what we wanted to do. Reptilians live forever. Dude from Texas. Dude from Texas, aren't you one of Marvin's acolytes or whatever? But I don't know, but they live forever. Do they? What is the Uncanny Valley effect? Don't know. Stephen Gibson, do you plan to talk about the Watchers in future episodes? Yes. And we have talked about them a little bit too already. Stories about lizards going into orphanages and walking out with children that were never seen again. What kind of lizards are we talking about here? This guy, Midi Abubakar, just bought an indigo blue PRT hoodie. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it. James Diamond, do you know Marvin? Yes, I do. Says here, bless you, Josh, do you think that Dogman is malicious towards us is because they either see us as prey or they see us as a threat to their home environment? Both. What are the Watchers? The Watchers were the 200 angels that were set upon the earth by God to watch over the earth and mankind in the book of Enoch. But what they did was they bred with human females and created the Nephilim, which were a monstrous race of giants that killed people and decimated life on earth. And if you see anything that stands out, let me know.
Let's see.
This guy says, I'm going to say it, Anunnaki bro, dang, you got a lot of gold. Laugh out loud. This is anything, dude. I got like a bunch more rings and a bunch more necklaces. When I was working in a nightclub years ago, when I would get into a fight with these ballers, their gold that they would have would end up like usually in broken pieces or whatever, and eventually I had it all in like a little souvenir box. It's like trophies, and eventually I melted it down and created custom pieces. And that's true.
There was one guy earlier, I think by the name of Anthony D, saying that you were hesitant to approach the reptilian question. Maybe you should remind him about the story about that guy that you had
Yeah.
fought and that dated that girl.
You want to find that
With
episode?
the spines on his back. And all
Yeah.
that.
I'm not hesitant. I've talked to a lot of researchers. I know we mentioned Linda Godfrey earlier. When me and her talked, she was saying that the reptilian thing kind of scared her, and it was something she really didn't like talking about. And I've actually heard that from a couple other researchers too. Not necessarily any big name authors other than her, but the whole reptilian thing does frighten some of the researchers.
Might be episode 24, Reptilian Abductions and Encounters.
I think Reptilian Abductions and Encounters, I think that was the woman she was being abducted. That was the abduction one. I know in episode 24 we talk about it, but I don't know exactly the number. Anthony's going to try and find it, but there's one where we encountered what we think was a reptilian, or at least a reptilian hybrid, when we were at our nightclub. Because Austin is an international city with all kinds of people from all over the world that go to the area downtown, in particular 6th Street, where I used to work, where there are like 350 bars down there. A lot of them are closed right now because of COVID, but... And B Moss, shout out to you. I see you're on there. I don't know. I think don't you and Roy have a show going on, or y'all are coming out with something? Something's going on. Yeah, Timothy Collins guitar. I honestly think Dogman is just a good old fashioned werewolf. Period. Could be. I mean, Josh, what do you think of adrenochrome? From what I know about it, it's something that the story is that the elites use it and they harvest it from pineal glands. It's something I really don't want to get into. It's not good stuff. Dick Richards, he told my story, kinda. I don't know. Oh, okay. You're talking about Marvin.
Might have been episode 34, Lizard Potluck. They talked about that guy.
In episode 34, Lizard Potluck, I think that was when we talked about the lizard either in Flagstaff or Ruidoso. It was like a giant lizard creature. But then I think we talked, like, it ended up being a bunch of different stories that ended up being about lizards, reptiles. I'll try to find that episode, folks, and maybe talk about it on the next Q&A. Do you think you will hit 1 million subs soon? Lito plays. No. Not 1 million subs soon. What are my thoughts on the attacks that happened in the land between the lakes? That's something that I kind of wanted to get into with Ryan. And like I said, I tried to get a hold of him and talk to him, but he does take care of his mother who has cancer. And so, but I would like to get into on his show when he gets his show going, which I think he's pretty close to. Yeah, because that is something that I think that would be a good topic for us to talk about together. I have theories, but who knows? Queen Elizabeth reptilian rumors. Like I said, I've heard lots of stuff. Oh, there's Ryan.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Not much. Just cleaning out house a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I got you on the live stream. I don't know, folks. Can you hear Ryan?
Oh, I'm on the live. Cool.
Yes.
What's up, everybody?
So people are asking, and they've been asking, because you can see there's Ryan. They've been asking, when we're going to get it going, when we're going to get it started.
It's going to be next week for sure. Probably middle of next week.
Okay. So next week for sure.
Because I got a new computer coming in, so everything will be set up. I can run OBS, and we'll be good to go.
Cool. And so one of the things I was going to talk to you about, because somebody had just asked, was about us doing a show, asking my thoughts on Land Between the Lakes. Now, something you've researched. So I was thinking maybe me and you could do a show about that at some point.
Heck yeah, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, and also we definitely want to get you on board with you were going to talk about the Cenocephali and get people excited about that, and the Gugwe. Now, real quickly before I let you go, explain what the Gugwe and the Cenocephali are to the audience.
Okay, with the Gugwe, we have the more baboon-faced kind of Sasquatch, the one that was suspected in the LBL incident. And the Cenocephali are the more stone giants. They're the ones that wore the applique stone armor. And there's a lot of stories behind the Cenocephali that I can cover on the show, and I think people are going to like that.
Yeah.
They're
And
going to love it, so they're going to have to stay tuned. I got some good stuff.
Good stuff, and that's why I'm not giving away too much of it, because I think me and you, also the show we did with Ken Gerhardt is going to be airing this Friday.
Oh, nice. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll kick it off. That'll kick off our deal, and then next week we'll be doing. It'll be me and you, Ryan. I was thinking about a Wednesday or a Thursday, but it's up to you, whatever works for you. Because Tuesdays,
Thursday would work for me, man. That'd be perfect for me.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the day after I do my Q&A next Tuesday, so we could kind of promote it a little bit. So, folks,
So next Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. So we'll be producing a show, folks, coming out next week, hopefully, and we'll be releasing it Wednesday or Thursday. We'll talk about the details.
We got some real exciting stuff planned. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm talking to a guy who might have some pictures to show us.
That'd be awesome.
So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, and so folks, we're going to be handle Josie Wells. I like that. And so, anyways, the thing is, folks. This coming week, we'll be doing the Q&A. This coming Friday, remember Friday, just mark your calendars. We got the Ken Gerhardt show coming out. And then next week, we're going to do the Q&A, and then me and Ryan will be doing our show, and then we'll be dropping another show for PRT on Friday. So there'll be a full slate of stuff coming out for us.
Going to be a busy week for us.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I'm anxious, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So I'm going to let you go from Texas. You get back to your Arizona stuff, boy.
All right. Sounds good, Josh. I will talk to you later, man.
I'll see you later, Ryan. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Take it easy, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there you go. That's what's going to happen. Dude from Texas. What is it? I don't understand what you said. Does it matter, dude? What are you talking about? Dude, this is awesome seeing you on here live. I've been listening to you for a while. Is it everything you thought it would be? I can't stand the way I look on TV. Like this. You ever seen the kid from the Campbell Soup is Good Food? Okay, I got this Campbell Soup is Good Food head. Okay, especially when I shave, I'm like, you know.
You do look pretty awful.
It's terrible. I look terrible. If you saw me with my shirt off, you'd be like, dang, that's a big, that's a built cracker, But my shirt's on, so.
On camera, you're just a hideous human being, just disgusting.
I know. It sucks.
You should really just be filled with shame.
I am. I really am.
Not enough.
Not enough. I'm still very arrogant, but it's because I can, do things that you can't. So.
Yeah, but I can send emails and stuff, so.
Wow. Like, I don't know how to work an email.
Definitely don't. You
100%
do not.
Emails. I read, folks, this kid is out of his mind. I read emails like all day. It's all I do. I've seen an apparition that was milky white and had a weird expressionless face, like the dude from Watchmen. Ever heard of anything like that? Yes, actually, I'm going to get right into that because, okay, somebody had sent me, speaking of emails, somebody had sent me a really long, drawn out email telling me that what me and Tony Duran and Jason and Oscar, the guys that I was with the night of that we talked about the show from last Friday, they're talking about what we saw and that it could have been a person with a mask. Okay. This person's eyes had been hollowed out, and their mouth looked like it was rotted off, and it was black. This person was right by my window at one point. No, I don't think it was a mask. I appreciate you trying to look into every avenue of what you think it might or might not have been. But everybody I've talked to, and Anthony sitting across from me can attest that he's talked to Oscar and now Tony. Both of them gave the same description that I gave. None of us deviated from it. What we saw was kind of unbelievable. But then again, 2 years before that, almost, like a week to the day, I saw a dogman. If that's what you think that was. I don't know if that was a skinwalker, a dogman, a werewolf, what it was. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at like, what it could have been or whatever, I have no idea. But I know it wasn't a guy in no mask. And the black dogs that were following this person around, no idea. I mean, he was like a puppet man with black dogs around him. I mean, I don't know. So I can't really, and then there's a guy that was in the group saying, I've lived in Taylor for years and never heard of this. Well, there's a lot of people around Taylor that can tell you it's a very weird place that has a lot of weird activity. But I don't think it's that unique, to tell you the truth. I mean, I don't build up Taylor like, like Derry, Maine, like what's his name that writes the books or whatever. I'm not trying to say Taylor's just like this full of all these weird creatures and I'm going to start writing all kinds of stories about them. No. I think that most towns have weird stuff that happens and legends and things like that. It just happens that I'm from there and I paid attention and I, noticed the stuff and I'm an experiencer. I've talked to a woman earlier today who is an alien abductee. She can also see ghosts. She has clairvoyancy and actually proved it to me in a little bit. She kind of proved it to me. And then I had another guy who was a remote viewer. And when he remote viewed my dogman experience, like he actually had never been to Taylor. The house that was next door to the house where my friend lived, where this thing chased us back to, or tried to cut us off, actually. He knew the color of the house. He described the house, the fence, everything. The guy, like, he really did remote view this. Like, he saw what I saw. Like, he knew what we saw. And I was pretty impressed. I was impressed that he knew the color of the house. The house was yellow. He knew that. It was yellow at that time or whatever. It's not there anymore. But, he knew all that. I mean, it was like, I don't know, it was pretty uncanny. So I believe that there are people who have abilities and then people that have, they can see things and hear things beyond like extrasensory perception. I'm not saying that I have ESP per se, but I am an experiencer, and if there are things around, I'm going to see it or I'm going to notice it. It's going to, and oftentimes I've been with people when these things have happened. A lot of times people, they're with other people when things happen. It's not just them by themselves, And so it could be something that it's because they notice it. You know what I mean? Wolf, any action for the Buffalo Bills game this Saturday? The Bills are doing pretty good. I think that they have a pretty good shot. I'd like to see them, and I'd like to see the Browns both win. That'd be cool. I think that the coach from the Cowboys is stupid. I think that he stood there and watched a pass that was not a completed pass, and then they allowed them to kick a field goal. Whatever. It became a moot point when Washington beat the Eagles anyway. So that's all I got to say about that. Oh, and for you, Ken Gerhard, Packers suck. All right, so you know. He's always bragging on his Packers. Wolf, have you heard of Stick Indians? I don't know what that is. I heard that episode's the thing that looked down at me, but I felt peace. It put me to sleep. Like if it wasn't evil, I've seen things all my life, but this one is one of the top weirdest things. Can you elaborate on that, Max? Because I'm not exactly understanding that part. Well, the Browns, come on, man. They've lost since what is this first time they've been in the playoffs in 17 years? 19 years, something like that? Give them a break, dude. It's time for them to win. I'm a Raider fan, double A. You know what? I actually rooted for the Raiders this year because I like John Gruden, and I like now that they're not in California, they're in Las Vegas. But they blew it, dude. They just totally blew it, man. It sucks, man. Stick Indians are a Native American cryptic from the northern states. What does that mean, North American cryptic? I don't. What does that even mean, guys? Feed me, Seymour. Give me something here. Go Chiefs. Yeah, my friend Big Jim, one of my brothers, he's a big Chiefs fan. Chiefs may actually do it again this year. It says here, DCG Tex-Mex 76. I've heard werewolves are evil people that have to commit horrible acts, turn into beasts, and dogmen are both natural or spiritual creatures. My cousin Trey spent a lot of time, like years, in the Shoshone and Arapaho reservations in Wyoming. And we did a 2 or 3 hour, I don't know how many hours it was, show with him. And that will be coming out not this Friday, but the next Friday. I'll look at the calendar real quick and I'll tell you when exactly that's coming out. And he does talk. He's going to be talking about the skinwalker phenomena. So it's very, very weird. And he talks about some of the stuff because he actually spent a lot of time there with them. So this coming Friday's episode, the Ken Gerhard episode, is on the 8th. So on the 15th, and then again probably on the 22nd, there'll be a 2-parter on it with Trey.
Yeah.
So my cousin Trey is very well traveled and has worked in, like, he was a ranch hand. He's a cowboy, which is a lot of my dad's family. Actually, on both sides of my family, but he's a ranch hand, and he did a lot of work and he worked near those reservations, and he started like basically just being on the reservation all the time. Okay. Sheila Loya, I think it's like that in general. If you ignore and don't believe, you won't see it. Once you start believing and learning, it's like you're feeding it and it starts to show its many faces. Very possible.
This question keeps popping up. I think it's like the third or fourth time. It says, Josh, do you think that the conflict between Dogman and the rake/Wendigo is like the conflict between Godzilla and King Ghidorah in the recent movie?
It's a good question. Let's not call the rake, okay? Because apparently there's people out there that just don't like that name. So the crawler, the fleshgate, the wendigo, the rake, whatever. Can we come up with an acronym for that? Crawler, the fleshgate, the CFRW, the CFWR, the Kefadubber. Yeah. So we'll figure out something to call it so people will make it more believable, because the rake was creepypasta. I said this last time, okay? I know it's creepypasta, but it doesn't change the fact that people see these encounters and you can't dismiss what they're seeing. I'm not talking about little teenagers that are on Reddit or what is the other one that people get stories for creepypasta or whatever? 4chan, whatever, you know, that they're telling stories of some sort of weird, preposterous creature that's running around doing whatever it does. You know, what I'm talking about is a creature that is white to translucent or both, and that it has a propensity to attack people, and it moves and contorts its body in a weird way. I had somebody that told me a story about one crawling across the road that they ran over, and this happened actually in Montana. And then I read a story on Lon Strickler's page or whatever, and it was wild, like something crawling across the road, and it was in the Sierra Nevadas, and I think it might have been Penelope. If you haven't read the story of Penelope, then you should probably go to Lon's deal and check it out. He's got some pretty good stuff on there. I do a lot of business with Lon too. It's one of the multiple authors that I deal with.
Another $100.
Oh man, Voltron! Oh, that's just crazy. You're giving us all your money here, sir. Have you go? It says, here you go, bro, for you and the crew. Much love and respect for all and what you guys do. I appreciate all. Stay blessed, be good, and stay safe to all my peeps. Thank you so much. That's enough, man. You've been overly generous. I really appreciate it all. Brother Heck, $5. It's Hector J from Facebook. When's Ryan's podcast premiering? Hector, we just talked about that. I just had Ryan on on the line because so many people had asked about it, and we just had Ryan on and we just talked about that. We're gonna try and record, I don't know, sometime next week and get it out Wednesday or Thursday after we do the Q&A for next Tuesday. I'm going to try to do at least a 2-hour Q&A, maybe an hour and a half, at least an hour and a half to 2 hour Q&A every week along with the show, because I think that you guys deserve it. I want to do that for you guys because you guys are good, you're good loyal fans, and you can ask questions about past shows, whatever you want to ask. If you have questions that can get more deep into the show than what you get from the show, it's kind of like extra content, whatever. And so we want to do that for you. Any stories where bloodlines are involved, either on the paranormal aspect or knowledge? Enrique Salinas. Yes, the Mexican folklore we did with Chief. You want to look those up, see what the episodes are? Those we did talk about bloodlines. There was a familial curse, and there was a cadejo that was involved in attacking these people, and it was pretty horrific because it didn't only just attack. It attacked their descendants for 3, 4, 5 generations, and it kept coming and coming and coming. And it was a black dog, demonic hellhound type creature.
Should be episodes 31 and 32.
It was. I think it was episodes 31 and 32. If you go back into the archives, Mexican folklore with Chief. But you know what? That's probably correct. I think it might have been, because I know we talked about it again later on. Yeah. But that might have been way back, back then. What is this Seahawks? What is this Seahawks you speak of? I don't understand.
You gotta scroll down to the most recent chats to keep up with them. There we go.
Are you referring to the Rainy City wimpy pigeons? Because that's what I call them. Absolutely, David Pratt and Voltron 76. You're generous, bro. God bless. David, what's up? They're always very loyal. Josh, what's your favorite episode? My favorite episode? Double A. Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I like the way the Immortals episode turned out, and I like the way Beware of Dog turned out. Immortals was a personal thing for me because I knew this guy that may or may not have been immortal, and the guys, we talked about it, and it was something that we all went through. And he was a very nice guy. He was a very good guy. I mean, it wasn't anything malicious or malevolent about him at all. And so if he is an immortal, then that's a good thing. We got people like that around. The Beware of Dog one was a really good story that I get a lot of people that question and ask me about that one. Doing the interviews for that really creeped me out. I kid you not. And I did it in 2-3 parts. Taking the notes. I was working at a very bad complex at that time. And I got nightmares from it. I did. I had like my wife waking me up. I wear a mask for sleep apnea because I'm so jacked. I'm just kidding. I have to say I'm just kidding. People think I'm being serious. Like, this guy's a real freaking blowhard loser. No, I got really bad anxiety, and I was having problems because that complex was pretty rough anyway. But then when you're there at night and you're talking to people and getting the story from them, and I know at any given time I had like Clark, one of the guys that works with us, Scorpion or Diablo, that were there and listening to me talk to these people, and getting that story was like kind of emotional, and then they were upset at times, and then we had to go back and revisit it, and then I had to start off asking them the questions again, and by the time we worked through it, I think it was kind of cathartic for them to talk about it. And I think it was therapeutic for me too. And then, but then, you know, in the early part of it, I started having like this nightmare of this weird thing that would be by my bed that literally grabbed my arm. And it was during the time that I was doing the investigation with that case on Beware of Dog. But once I got it done and I was able to speak it out and tell the story, it felt good to get it out. It was like I released that, you know. But I'll be honest, it was almost like something was trying to it was almost like something was trying to impede me from getting the story and repeating it. If that makes sense. So it says Baycock is a traditional name of what people are reporting to be a rake. Look into it. Okay, I will. The rake creature, I mean, because it's kind of like Dogman, you know, the name Dogman. I when I talk to people, even in my hometown, who've seen what we call a Dogman, they're like, "What is that?" You know, they think it's like some kind of circus freak. Because I was literally at the Bath and Body Works shopping, like I think it was a couple Christmases ago, and Anthony, you were actually with me, and I was talking to a person about the Dog Man or whatever. It kind of came up in conversation. And we were, I don't think it was Christmas, I think it was Halloween time. And they had like a little werewolf or something, or ghost or something. And I said, "Hey, you don't have any werewolves?" And then it came up in conversation. And I said, I would like to have a Dog Man. And this woman thought that I was literally, long story short, talking about a circus freak, that thingy that she had read about from like Illinois. Something called the Dog Boy or something, and I'm like, that's the problem. I mean, Dog Man, I can't gripe enough about the name. It just sounds so ridiculous. It just sounds so ridiculous. I mean, when you talk about it, you're going like, what are we talking about here? You know, is this a person that looks like a Doberman Pinscher or a Golden Retriever or a Rottweiler, or does it look like a Labrador? I mean, what is this? You know. No, these things look like wolves. They look like werewolves. And so when you call them dog, and then people that are into the Dogman thing, they're like, "Well, when you call them werewolves, you make us sound ridiculous and stupid." You don't think calling something a dog man sounds ridiculous and stupid? So if you don't, I mean, that's just, you know, it's whatever. But yeah, I mean, the name Rake is kind of what we're going to have to go with, because that's what's kind of stuck. You know, I even did a show called The Dogman Rake Connection.
Oh, Hector corrected himself, actually. He said it's called Bacon, not Baycock. Bacon.
Not Baycock. Bacon. Okay. Bacon? So it's creepy, evil, and delicious.
It's like a Jamaican way of saying bacon. Bacon.
Bacon. Bacon. You got the bacon, man. You wake up in the morning and you eat some eggs and bacon.
You know, a British person saying beer can and a Jamaican person saying bacon.
Sound very similar.
It's the exact same. Bacon.
Bacon. You got the bacon. Well, the bacon would actually be like more like an Irish. You get the bacon. You get the bacon. Bacon. And then the bacon. So, yeah, that's crazy. That is funny to think about. Wolfman. Now, Wolfman, that sounds about right. David Pratt, Labradoodle Man. Labradoodle Man. You are correct, sir. Speaking of Ed McMahon, the whole Mandela effect was that he never was part of the Publishers Clearinghouse thing, and I know that's ridiculous because he was. So, are you just going to leave and go to the store, huh? Bacon. It says, "I heard about the bacon, and it sort of fits the description, but the head doesn't." Well, okay, let's talk about that for a minute. What is the head? What does the head of the so-called rake supposedly look like? Now, right now, in the live chat, I want you guys to go over to the live chat right now and tell me what you think the rake is supposed to look like. Tell me what this creature, the Wendigo rake, whatever you want to call it, what does it look like? Which store are you going to?
Next door.
Andy's going to the store and he's leaving me here. Try calling them Cenocephali. Now, there's another thing too. Like, I don't agree with Vic Cundiff. Like, he says that Cenocephali are, and I like Vic. I respect him. I have tons of respect for the guy. I have no problem with him. But he seems to think that Cenocephali, for some reason, he has that they are completely human-like with just a dog head. So that's not technically a dog man, that's something different. But I don't see how that is. I mean, if it walks upright like a human and it's got a wolf's head, then why is it not a Cenocephali? Why is that not a Cenocephali? Why can't they all be called Cenocephali? Why can't they just all be called one thing? I mean, because there's probably multiple things going on, but yet we're getting bogged down and arguing in the minutia of, well, it's a dog man, it's a Cenocephali, it's a werepoodle, it's a werewolf, it's a skinwalker. Could be all of those things, or it could just be one thing that is pretending to be all those things. We have no idea. I mean, there's just so many different thoughts and theories out there. Yeah, and here's another one. It says I can't say hyena, baboon, wolf, German shepherd. These things look like a lot of animals. Yes, and hyenas are not even canines, and we'll actually be discussing that on Friday. Ken Gerhardt kind of takes us to school on that a little bit about, he'll be teaching class on Friday about that and telling us. Cenocephali army would have been bad. Bradford Johnston, actually, there are stories of the Cenocephali being mercenaries, and they fought for different warring neighbors, in particular India and the subcontinent. That they were known to actually wage war for the highest bidder. And the Rajas actually used them. Says the Cenocephali were said to look like mastiffs. Dick Richards, do you have anything to back that up? Hey, Wolf, I'm the guy from New Zealand who drew you the dog man as a Bigfoot. My question is, what's the best potato crisps in Texas? The best potato chips. Well, I don't actually eat potato chips, and I haven't for a couple years. Every once in a while, my wife will let me have some saltless chips. They are an HEB brand. HEB is a grocery store here in Texas. That is, like I said, every now and then I'll get to eat some crisps, as you call them, but it's very rare because of the salt content. But those are saltless, so I can eat those every now and then, and it depends on how much I'm watching my carbs. I have lost a few pounds since last Q&A. I don't know if anybody's noticed. Lost a few pounds and kind of looking good. I just was looking at myself and how fat I had gotten from Christmas. I gained about 20 pounds, so I've lost a few pounds back. So it's nothing to get excited about, but I am on my way back to losing more weight and getting back to as fat as I was. Yes, Joey Hayes. Look at the Montauk Monster. The world is a weird place with all sorts of things happening. No, it's not. No, it's not. Everything is normal, dude. Just pay your taxes, watch TV, and then, die. No, Joe, you're correct. The Montauk Monster, that thing is weird looking. That's one thing that'd be a good question, actually, to pose to someone like Ken or Nick Redfern. I'm actually supposed to be going up to sometime next week. When I do the shows next week, I'll probably be doing it from either North Texas or Oklahoma because I'm going to be on a small vacation, and I'm actually going to be visiting Nick Redfern. So it'd be cool to have him on the Q&A. Maybe I could talk him into it. I don't know. Or maybe I could just hold him and make him do it. And that'd be a good question to ask him, because that Montauk Monster is a weird thing. If you haven't seen it, folks, look it up. It says here, random YouTube viewer, if the Warrens Occult Museum was still open, would you visit it? No. Sheila Loya, I fell asleep to that show with Vic last night. I swear I've seen a pic of Cenocephali with dog-like legs And I think if they have a dog head, they would totally breed with a wolf or dog.
Did you read
Possibly.
Did you read that one though?
Says here, Ernest here, wolf, the rake I saw fits a bacon description, but the head was more rounded, human skull with no nose, just slits and a gigantic mouth. Okay. Yes, and I did actually, Ernest, we covered your encounter on Dogman Encounters. So he is the one that had the incident where the Dogman took one of these dead rake type creatures or bacons, whatever you want to call them, and dropped it. If that's what I believe he's referring to.
Yeah.
The show Atlantis had rakes. I don't know what that means. The ancient painting. This was. I think I lost it here. I think he was going to say something about Alexander, but in the encounters with Alexander the Great, he said they looked like mastiff-headed men, and so did two other old-time travelers who saw them. I'd have to look them up, listen to their stories 2 days ago. I'll explain something about that. I used to be was one of the many skills on my resume is that I was a dog handler. I worked for a company called Reliable Canine, and it was actually a security company. I still have patches from it. And I used to work with my dog, Ivan, who I've posted pictures, who was a mastiff whose head was like this big. And Anthony, am I exaggerating?
No.
And Anthony knows he was a big boy, and he was a bad dude. And we had another mastiff named Guardian that worked with a buddy of ours named Alex Sanchez, a good friend of mine. And he's a dog trainer, dog handler, has a security company, still a good friend of mine. Here's the thing. The mastiff that we know of as the mastiff today was bred in the later Roman period. Like it was actually when Alexander the Great talked about a mastiff, I don't believe that he was talking about a Spanish Mastin or an English style mastiff or even the Roman mastiff. The Roman mastiff being like the predecessor to the Rottweiler. There was a dog that they bred that was used in Trier in Germany when they were fighting, which would be Austria. They were fighting when Marcus Aurelius. I'm going to get into a history lesson here, but so for Alexander to talk about a mastiff, it could have just been a big dog, like a large dog head, and not necessarily like a mastiff that we would think of as a mastiff. I would have to go back and look and see how it was written, if it was written in Greek or if it was written in Persian or whatever, because that would tell you what we're talking about here. Brother Heck, thank you for your donation. It says, it is said to appear as an extremely emaciated skeleton-like figure with thin, translucent skin and glowing red points for eyes. That sounds very similar to what people claim they see with this rake-type creature. Like I said, we have to come up with a name, though, that when people say it, they know what you're talking about. The person says that it looks like a skinny white or gray goblin. Bradford Johnston, was it a bull or Italian or Neapolitan mastiff? None of those would have existed in Alexander's day. So, my mastiff was English. He talked like this. He was refined. Very picky about the wine that he drank. I was always like, God, Ivan, you're so foo-foo with your, very picky about who you devour and whose bones you crunch. Actually, he wasn't. It says, do you think dogmen are people, shapeshifters? Alonzo Davis. There again, is it a werewolf? I don't know. I think it's very possible. I think that people can shapeshift. I really do. I think that it's just the manipulation of the reality that we live in. I think some people have that ability. Crazy Backyard Chicken Man. I have a funny story about a person called Chicken Man. How do you know it is the same thing that just takes your fear? It manifests whatever scares you. There's the building that I touched on with Tony Duran in the story that we covered that happened to us in Taylor, Texas, in the last episode on Friday. Black Hellhounds of Taylor, Texas. We talk about a building we both worked at and how it was very haunted. And I had something that happened to me in that building that is very reminiscent of something that takes your fear and manifests it. It says that you said magnifies it, but I mean, I think do you mean manifesting it, or do you mean it actually just takes it and amplifies it? Because I think this thing did both. Lamp of light demigod? You think these things are demigods? I mean, if you're talking about the Watchers, I don't know. What does this mean? Double A. I saw it on Paranormal Encounters, caught on camera. What does that mean? Hey Josh, have you heard about wolfmen being used to hunt giants? I don't know, dude. I mean, I've heard a lot of things, dude. I mean, I try not to dismiss people's stories or encounters when they give them to me. Sometimes you got to go, okay, I'm not going to entertain this. I had, Nellie can tell you, we had a guy out of Massachusetts that was giving us some amazing stories. I mean, and unfortunately it culminated with him, it was just ridiculous. It can't, like it got more and more out of the realm of anything possible. Like it started out as like, oh, a pretty cool encounter, let's put this one on the show, or let's go to Dogman Encounters with it, but it turned into a soap opera, for lack of a better term, and sexual. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever. Brother Heck, would you miss my super chat? What does that mean?
That was earlier. You're way back in the chat.
Yeah, and I'm trying to catch up here. Gosh, imagine walking around the corner and seeing one of them mounting your... Okay, I'm not going to read that one.
Lamp Light clarified, no, Alexander thought he was a demigod.
Oh, Alexander, okay.
Yeah. I thought he was a son of Ammon or something like that.
Yeah, and he thought he was Achilles too, and whatever else. But I mean, he did do something that no one else did, and when every area where he went, he actually changed their culture to the Hellenistic culture, which led the way for Christianity. Because centuries later, when everything turned Christian through the Greeks. And the Romans, a lot of those areas that had been conquered, like Asia Minor, followed suit, later to become Muslim. Would a dogman go near a big cat sanctuary? Don't know what the purpose of that would be. Find me a good question. I gotta look something up so I can give you guys a good answer here.
Let's see. I have someone asking, will you ever do a show about giants?
Very possible. I have a couple of pretty good stories about giants, but I like to have at least 3 or 4 going into a show. That's the minimum. Before I can really talk about something about that, just in particular, without it just being a part of a potluck, I'd like to be able to, for sure, 100% tell 3 to 4 stories. But I'd like to have at least 5 or 6 to fall back on. Oh, hey, and my nephew just joined the chat room. Hey, Polly.
Hey, Paulito.
Palito.
It says, what's your favorite Dogman story you have heard and like to tell?
Stripes. I guess. I mean, that would be. I mean, that one was a big one. I mean, that was a case that we covered and guys that we worked with. So I would say that would probably be.
Ernest is saying you should do an episode on Nahuales, I guess is how it's pronounced. It says they are Mexico shapeshifters.
Nawales. Yeah, you know what? I got a story from a Hawaiian that had something that was called that.
Oh, and then after that, here's a good one. Hey Josh, I was wondering if you have any stories from people that resemble an invisible creature similar to the Predator from the movie Predator.
The Glimmerman. And we are going to do a show about that, folks. Give us time. We're getting to that. The Nuwale or Nagual, that was spelled, but it's Nuwale, is a human being who has the power to shapeshift into a jaguar, like a cat person. And what they do is they actually make a pact with the devil. And, that was what they were, But there is another creature that's like a shark shapeshifter type creature called a Nuel. I can't remember the name of it. And then we're going to do one about octopus. I've been talking to Scott Martis, if any of you know who he is. Me and Ryan are going to do a show about underwater cryptids, in particular freshwater octopus and squid that attack people. One found under the ice in Antarctica and Russia. That's going to be by Russian scientists in Antarctica. It'll be very interesting. David Pratt, have you got Dogman stories like the one who tried to get into the tree cutter with the guy inside? Yeah, on Dogman Encounters, I actually covered a story about a guy that was a security guard in Tennessee, and something tried to get into the vehicle with him. I think it was episode 247 or 248 of Dogman Encounters. 248 I ended up having to do because Vic needed somebody to fill in, and I just put what stories I had out there. I gave them to him. I was going to save them for Paranormal Round Table, but I went ahead and used them because I'm a good friend. So if you go and look on those episodes, you'll find a story about a guy that was doing security, and a Dogman tried to he was fenced in, so he couldn't just drive out. He'd have to get out of his vehicle and unlock the fence, and the thing went up under his vehicle. So it was very similar to that one in Canada. I believe you're referring to the one in Canada where it tried to push down the window. Yeah, that was the loggers. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, Backyard Chicken Man. The thing is, dog breeds have been developed over the years and changed shape and sizes just like humans do. They have been under for food or under our foot for thousands of years. Okay. Do you remember what episode of Dogman Encounters is the one with the rake in it? Please, thank you. What episode was that when Ernest gave us his story? 247. I want to say it was 247. I think that it was 247. I'm not 100%. I was looking for Stefan's comment. He had made a comment, and I was going to read it, and then it just disappeared. Guy says, how long have you been in the security business? Too long. I ran a nightclub for a long time, and then I got into security, got my own business when I was in 2007, but I've been doing it since 2000. The first security job I got was in 1994. I think it was 94, something like that. I did it for a little bit and then did other stuff. I've gone back and forth. And then eventually it just became a job. was trying to find this guy Stefan's comment. He made a long comment I was going to answer, and I can't find it.
Talking about Stephen Gilson.
Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, I think his comment was saying that he was talking about a hadith where
The hadith. Yeah.
where Muhammad talked about the flat Earth and that there were 7 Earths or something like that. He said he could type it again, so he's probably typing it right now.
Yeah, Stefan, if you're there, just go ahead and type in the comment again.
And then he asked like what you think about flat Earth.
Tanya Willis, there's a rake-like creature described in the Dogman Encounters, the big ones, where Dogman in the follow-up episode. I wouldn't know. I don't watch that show much. Thank you, Amy Crew. Josh is really smart. I like to think I am. James Santo, really enjoy the show. Thank you. Jason McFadden, yo, Wolf or Cryptid, you want me to draw? Draw anyone you want. Any and all art is accepted. Go to prtpodcast.com and submit your artwork. prtpodcast.com. You can also go back in the archives and of any of the shows we've dropped.
Tony, how lucky are you to have Mushu as your co-host? Very unfortunate.
Tony, okay, Mushu, how lucky are you to have Mushu as your co-host?
Go back to sleep at work, Tony.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to be sleeping tonight at work so you can play video games all day? I mean, that's what it does.
Yep.
Justin Decker, do you think the classic Dover Demon might have been a rake sighting? That is a good question because, yes, I think that is very possible. It sounds like what people describe as the rake-type creature. I'm going to challenge my listeners right now to something. I want you guys to come up with a name for this thing. We got to come up with a better name than the rake. I mean, I pushed hard against the community to try to come up with something better than Dogman, and it was just too strong. I couldn't tilt the boat. But we started calling it Upright Canid, which just, I keep trying to, but when, in the community, Dogman is just kind of what stuck, so we're kind of stuck with the Circus Freak name. It is what it is. But I would like to challenge everyone, come up with a good name for the rake. And you know what, let's do it. We'll do a contest. We'll give it till the end of the month. And at the end of the month, on the last Q&A, y'all let me know, and whoever comes up with the best name for the rake, we will give you some PRT merch or an autograph book from one of many authors. Also on the Q&A, we're going to start announcing the winners for the giveaway. It happens every Friday. So I'm going to announce that right now.
Oh, here it is. Stephen typed in his comment again. Stephen, however it's pronounced. It should be right there. It says, in this hadith it is said that the distance between each earth is 500 years to the next one. Even in the Quran, God even says he created the earth in a similar number compared to the heaven.
So I thought that there were 7 heavens, which I thought, because I know that there, it depends on which religion you're talking about, because the Hindus have a very similar belief too. It's like there's a lower heaven, the middle heaven. The Norse mythology talks about multiple heavens. I know that Enoch, who supposedly became the angel Metatron, he talks about multiple heavens. And before he became the angel Metatron, he was taken to different heavens, heavenly realms. Sheila Loya, which she goes by Sheila Noel, she was the winner of the PRT giveaway. And so we're going to announce the name of the person that wins, so just in case from now on, just so people are winning. And so that, if you missed a message from me, because during the 100th episode, we did a giveaway of people in the comment section, and I tried to reach out to a couple of people that were in the comment section, and I told them, hey, you won. I found them on Facebook, and they didn't respond, and they never got their prize. So that was unfortunate. That's unfortunate. And if you come back now and say, hey, I didn't get my prize, and be like, forget you, man. I'm done. Just kidding. If you got the message, I don't care how long it's been, I will still send you something. A big old box of nothing. How you like that? Because when I send you a message, you need to answer. That's all I know. Octopus are just weird anyway. No, that's a freaking alien. The arthrocephalopods, the cephalopods, I mean, okay, octopus, squid are very, very intelligent. There's a story of one in an aquarium. I could look it up and try to find it, where it was sneaking into the shark tank and eating sharks. And so, yeah, they're very weird. I mean, they are very intelligent. And so, but to run across them in lakes and fresh water, in particular, this one lake in Sweden that I got a story from where these people were attacked by an octopus that had like fangs on its arms. It was just beyond the pale. Dick Richards, it's the ghoul. It's been the ghoul for thousands of years. Maybe that's what it is, a ghoul. A type of ghoul.
So for like the 10th time someone asked about Sal, like what happened to Sal, will he ever come back?
I'm going to address that right now. That's a good question. Sal is not coming back. Sal, I have very little communication with him. I'm going to say this again, he had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. He did not have the time or the energy or the money to put into the show. In the early going, the show cost money to produce. And it wasn't like a huge sum of money, but he didn't even have that because I think because he was having problems with I think his wife was part of it. I think she wasn't really supportive of the show and didn't really care for him having to spend money to do the show. Now the show is kind of paying for itself, but we're still not like really making a lot of money at it or anything like that, because that was never the goal to begin with. It was just a hobby. But I think that he actually wanted to make money from it, and he wanted it to happen quick, which isn't how it works. And so, he just didn't want to put in the time or the effort. And then there was the money thing where he didn't want to have to pay to do the show. He wanted to make money to do the show. And I don't think he's a bad guy. We didn't really have any words or anything like that. It wasn't like we exchanged words or anything. He just started making excuses and then just quit doing it. He didn't really want to participate in interviewing people and talking to people. He was just really not real helpful in that way. And so I kind of felt like he would just show up, just talk and then leave us to clean up everything and set up everything and to do the editing. Pretty much we as a team did everything. And, it was coming up that he wanted to make half of the profit when we did make a profit, and it didn't make sense because we are a team. So you should split it 4 or 5 ways, however you split it, because we're a team. And it was one of the things that came up. Also, he didn't like that there was another group of people who would say things and were attacking us, and they were harassing us, and they were harassing him, and it was constant, nonstop. Many of you who know who I'm referring to, I don't even want to get into it, but I mean, it was ridiculous. This person that he had a very subpar podcast. And he's a very subpar individual, but him and his people were constantly attacking us, and I think that started to wear him down too. It was just the constant feuding with that other group. So, Tony, why aren't you a mod? I don't know. Why aren't you a mod, Tony?
probably doesn't even know what that is.
Man of Destruction. Tony doesn't do much. He doesn't participate much on Facebook. He gets a lot of people that join Paranormal Encounters, more than Nelly does on Paranormal Lounge, but he does very little with Paranormal Encounters. Whereas Nelly does a lot with Paranormal Lounge. She's always involved. Because Tony's just not a big Facebooker. Not a big, just not real big and whatever. Tony came on as the co-host to fill in for Sal. I think he's done a very capable job. He's been what I originally I thought of as just the caretaker to take care of that position until we could finally get it 100%. But I think he is the main co-host, and I think he's done a good job. And I like what he's done, and I hope he continues to do it with us. I think that Anthony filling in at times, along with Nelly and Zane and whoever else is available, it works. So, I mean, we didn't miss a beat. I mean, Sal left, and we just did it ourselves. It's not like, it's my show. So, whatever. It says in the hadith, it is said that the distance between each. Okay, that was already talked about.
There's one question here. It says, been trying to find the episode where the kids are trying to outrun the baboon like monsters in a truck. They shoot one, and the other one doesn't give up chasing them.
Yes. That is Dogman Encounters, and that happened near in Mason County, Texas. And I believe. No, wait. That wasn't Dogman Encounters. There was one in Dogman Encounters that I covered, and I got it out of Mason County. But I think that was in episode either 188, something like that. Maybe 247. I don't know. 247 was a really long one with really bad audio. But there was also one that we covered on our show called Devil Monkeys, where the kids got into the back of the truck and these ape-like dogmen, whatever you want to call them. You want to look up Devil Monkeys, see what number that is? Yeah. And that where they were attacked by these devil monkeys. That's another topic that Ryan Tremblay has done a lot of research on, and he wants to get in there and cover that. So
Episode 66.
Episode 66 in our archives of Paranormal Round Table, you can probably find that. The Devil Monkeys. Fleshgate is already a good name, assuming that they're the same as a rake. Not really sure. Like, what is a Fleshgate? As far as anybody knows, what is a Fleshgate, and why is it called a Fleshgate? I'm like, what is that? Cool Hand. I prefer calling Dogman what it really is, a Wolfman. Me too. It's a wraith, is what I would call it. A wrath or wraith? I don't know. Every encounter I've heard, it always appears to be super angry. Okay. James Diamond, what's the prize? What do you mean? Prize for what?
Finding the giveaway.
The name? Or the giveaway that we have, what happens every Friday? This is my most comfortable watch, but my least expensive watch. I should have wore one of my nice, classy watches since I was going to be on TV. Look highfalutin.
Well, Forrest Grove says, thank you all for your great work. Love the show. It's awesome. One of my favorite. Keep up the great show. Thanks, guys. Best wishes to you all and your family. That was very nice, Bill.
Who was that?
This guy named Forrest Groves. Yeah. There's someone else. I'm trying to find them. Oh, The Bite Was Bit. You guys are doing an outstanding job with the podcast / show. And then Jay Ward said, concur, great show.
James Escobar, the rake might be an alien hybrid of sorts. I've thought that too. Jay Ward, remember the baboon in the crate, the creep show? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I actually watched that a couple years ago with my wife. It was
gross.
Creepy. And if I remember correctly, he ends up like throwing it off of like a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's funny because like that cliff scene where he throws it off of. There's a lot of cliffs around Austin where there's like lakes I jumped off of a cliff years ago and went so far down that I touched the side of a rock. And if I would have dived head first, I would have hit it, and I wouldn't be here today.
Jimmy Two Shoe says, "What kind of watches do you got?"
This one here is like an Invicta, and it's just like a little, I don't know, like $70, $80 watch. But I got a collection of Invictas. I've been collecting them for years, but I oftentimes give them away, just like as gifts. Like I'll just, if I don't wear them. I did for Christmas get a Bulova. It's a really nice Bulova watch. So I actually got a few gifts this year for Christmas. And the Bulova watch was a gift from myself because I didn't expect to actually get anything for Christmas because I usually don't. But I did this year. My wife and my sister actually gave me a few things. That was pretty cool. The other thing I was going to tell you guys, people are always asking, speaking of gifts and things like that, people are always asking to send us things. Like they want to send us physical things. So my wife wants to set up a P.O. box, which I'm going to do. And on the next show or two, once I get that done, because I got a million things I got to get done. Once I get that done, that P.O. box, I'll give you guys the address on there that you can send things to in the mail. Then I'll put it on the live stream. And, so we can do that if you want to send us something. Not necessarily gifts, but you might want to send us a picture you drew or something that you made or whatever, and you want us to have it. Hopefully it's nothing, like cursed magic beans or anything like that.
Someone was asking if there's any missing 411 cases in Texas.
As far as I know, David Paulides has said that he didn't write a book. And I may be wrong about this. This is something that he had said a while back. But that he wasn't writing a book about Texas, or he hasn't covered Texas in his books because Texas would encompass its own book, and it would be its own, like it was too vast. There were too many. So he would have to write like a volume or two just on Texas. He couldn't write an East-West. Texas would have its own deal, which is kind of disturbing when you think about it. I mean, speaking of that, the Glimmer Man thing, the Palmetto State Park, where people see the Glimmer Man, and I had a story that someone claims that a friend of theirs went out to Palmetto State Park. They were on their cell phone talking to them, and they claimed that they saw something blurry, and then the next thing you know, they were gone. But I have not been able to confirm this with anybody, so that right there in of itself is a missing 411 involving a shimmering Glimmer Man type creature. And so, I think in conclusion, yes, octopus are very amazing creatures. Now, let me know if anybody knows, because I haven't kept up with Paulides' books or anything like that, but if he did, since I last paid attention to that, if anybody knows that he has written about Texas since then, or if he's decided to write a book about it, I don't know. You can look that up, Anthony, maybe. I don't know. And folks, it's going on 2.5 hours now. We've done a 2.5 hour podcast on our Q&A. Going to try and do, like I said, an hour and a half, 2 hours every week. If not, sometimes at least you'll get an hour. I mean, I'm going to put you an hour out there extra besides the show. The show will have its own topics and stories, and then you can get a Q&A. And we can cover the past show or whatever shows going back into the archives. And yes, flannel man is a thing. I don't know what that means, flannel man.
I think he's talking about the guy on the bounty paper towel.
what you don't see on the bounty paper towels is him turning into a werewolf later on in his cabin.
I think Stimulate raised an interesting point. He said, I can't find the comment now, but he said he thinks that the rake is like an incompletely formed cryptid, like in a larva stage.
That's a good point. I've thought that too. I've thought that the fleshgate, rake, whatever you want to call it, crawler, could be a type of creature that is in an in-between state. Like maybe it's a skinwalker. I've often thought that it could be a skinwalker and that it's just in between, morphing. I don't know. Maybe that's why the dogman out at Ernest's ranch killed that thing, because it was one of their own, and they were disciplining it for going out and killing cattle. And maybe when they killed it, it turned back into this white, translucent rake type creature. Who knows? Ghost, aliens, and poltergeists. All right, guys. So I guess that's it. We're going to wrap it up. It's been a long one, and I'm glad to do it. I'm glad that you guys showed up. Any given time we had anywhere from 290 to 300 people in the chat room, and that's pretty good numbers. I'd like to get the numbers up a little bit and get more people out there, get them involved. Stephen Gibson says, "Hey Josh, from your research, have you heard any stories of good cryptids? For example, in Islam, not all jinn are demons. If that makes sense, some believe in God unless you think all are evil." I don't necessarily think that they're all evil or good or bad or whatever. I think that they are what they are, and if they are part of the Nephilim, the seed of the Watchers, then we don't really know what they are. It's almost impossible to say, and they may be not necessarily evil, but they do what they do, and they are against mankind and against God if they are part of the Nephilim Watchers, if you buy into that theory. But you're definitely free to believe whatever you want to believe. I mean, it's hard to say 100%. Yep, and that's it, folks. We're going to wrap this one up. I'm going to end this stream. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to our live stream on Paranormal Round Table on YouTube on January 5th, 2021. And I'm going to wish all of you a happy new year and a good life. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that everyone's new year finds you prosperous and you find peace and happiness, and we get through this pandemic and everything can go back to normal. But I don't know, man. I'm not holding my breath on it, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, folks? So